edition of this ranking report webinars. And well, I don't know what's the best way to say it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evenings, no matter where you're coming from. Actually, so if you just join, welcome to put in the chat and let us know where you are joining us today, and maybe let us know kind of which organization you with. So our other ICCA regional director here will be able to see as well. But first of all, welcome. My name is Shawn Cheng. I'm the regional director of North America for ICCAs. And on the call today, we have all the other regional directors joining here as well. I'm gonna quickly just point into them to say a quick hello and let us know kind of where they're calling from. And then we can diving into the webinar directly. So maybe we can start with Andrew's. Maybe quick introduce yourself and you can point out who you want to do next.
Thank you, Shawn. So my name is Anju Gomes, and I'm the Senior Regional Director looking after the Middle East. Very glad to be here and sharing insight a little later after Shawn does his presentation. I'll call upon Frank from Africa. He's the closest to Middle East. Frank?
Thank you very much, Anju. Andy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Very delighted to be on this webinar and have this conversation. Frank Murangwa is my name. I'm the Regional Director for Africa and looking forward to have this conversation. Over to you, Efi.
Thank you, Frank. I'm happy to be with you, with my colleagues, the regional directors. My name is Efi Koudeli, and I represent Europe, and specifically 3 chapters of Europe, which is the Central European chapter, Iberia, and the Mediterranean chapter. So happy to give you my insights. Over to you, Gea.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gea. I'm the regional manager for Europe. I work together with Efi. And my regions that I focus on are the France Benelux, the Nordics, and the UK and Ireland chapters. So very happy to be here, and back to you, Shawn.
Thank you. And then I actually also want to put a highlight to Shawn, if you are here and can say the quick hi from the Asian office.
Hi, I'm Shawn, the Regional Manager for Asia Pacific Office. I work closely with Waikin. Waikin is supposed to be here, but her flights has some changes. So she's currently flying in China right now. So I will be replacing her for this afternoon, evening. Yeah. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Thank you, Shawn. We can just blend the firework in China. So on that note, today's just want to everyone knows kind of roughly kind of how you go today's. The whole purpose of the webinar today is diving into the newest release, ICCA ranking of the country and city ranking report that we published at IMEX Frankfurt just a couple months ago. But as many of you know, that since last year we have decided to take a different approach of the ranking report. So instead of just providing the statistic that we always did, we will try to looking at the ranking report to see if there's any other additional insight within the report that we will be able to provide to our members and in the general industry. And that's kind of hence for the purpose of this webinar is obviously we would like to walk you through some of the key highlight of the report. So for those of you who haven't read the report or forget about the report because you're only reading when you first launch, this is kind of a good recap of kind of what's the key trends or the key topic that the report covered. But I think most importantly is we hopefully will spend the most of the time today is to have individual regional director sharing their perspective regarding their regions, because the report showing kind of one elements of the success story in some way, but the most important part is how our member, different city, different countries, kind of using different strategy to lead to kind of that positions. And I think that is just a lot of the thing to unpack, and we can all learn from there. So on that note, the agenda today is I will basically spend the next probably 10 minutes to quickly walk through some of the key highlight of the report this year, and then we will diving into individual question with the regional directors on the call. On that note, this is also a very open webinar as well. So if you have any questions specifically you want to learn, you want to ask, please put it in the chat as well. We will try our best to answer as we go, and then also to make sure that we answer all the questions that you have. So on that note, I'm gonna putting the attention into the screen. Today, we're gonna focus our conversation around the GlobeWatch, which is the ICCA country and city ranking report of the 2025 edition of the number. So for those of you who are not ICCA member, this is kind of the first time you heard about it, or you only heard about it but not really sure about this. ICCA have been published this report for the past 60+ years, and because we are using basically the same methodology for decades, that really build the credibility of the data that we collect, because we're able to build a patterns and build a trend for it. The data collection process for this report follows 3 criteria. For those of you who don't know, number one, the meeting need to have at least 50 attendee to be considered tracking. The second, the meeting need to show a regular basis and then a repeat pattern, whether it's annual meeting, biannual meeting, every 4 years or every 10 years, as long as they are able to demonstrate a regular basis. And then the third but not least is the rotation patterns, like the meeting need to show that they have at least minimum rotate between 3 countries and territories. And throughout the collection process is actually a 365 days process that ICCA have our dedicated research team consistently looking at all the numbers and data around the world and also internet, and then we're consistently updating those. But at the same time, we also, depending on our member, depending on association themselves, to continue provide the latest update, including the RFP. And then for the report purpose specifically, we also have a call for submission every at the start of every year, and then by the deadline is always February 1st, and then our team will spend the next 3 months to collect and consolidate all the data and have the report ready by IMEX Frankfurt. So on the screen, as you can see, that is the QR code that will lead you to the report page. On the page, you will be able to access either as the ICCA member, or we also have the public abstract version is available right now that you will be able to review and access. A global snapshot, as you can see, that the meeting from 2025 is no surprise. Europe continued to leading the total volumes of the meeting that occupy about 53%, followed by Asian Pacific with 22%, and then the Americas combined North and Latin America of the total closer to 20%, and then Middle East and Africa continue from a meeting count perspective, continue to as an emerging destination. Total meeting counts, last year we have been tracked about 12,438 meetings, slightly increased from 2024. We can see a consistently, despite all the uncertainty, geopolitical noises that we have heard from the news last year, the data don't lie. People continue need to meet, especially international association meeting. If we're looking at total attendee counts within those 12,000 meetings combined, we have welcomed about 5,000, basically about 5 million people around globally. Also continue to increase regarding the total amount of the people who participate in any sort of international association meeting. Obviously, we like to look at the number as well, and then the total direct spending from those ICCA track meeting in 2024 combined represent about $13.57 billion economic impact globally. Each individual meeting, the average delegate spends per meeting is about $2,708 which is a record high since 2024. And then the average length of the meeting is about 3.7 day per meeting. So as you can see, this is not a one, like whenever you have an international association meeting at your city or your country, it's not a 1 or 2 day program. They are expanding into at least a week. And then each individual attendee, as you can see by the per delegate count, represent a significant economic impact to the city and destination. But later on, when we are diving into the regional conversation, you will notice, I think across all the region, we all start looking at the value beyond that week of spending. I think individually in every region, every country, there's so many success and case study that show that cities starting to transition, looking at international association meeting as a one-off business event sector that is only represent particular group, but they are becoming more integrated into the broader country or city strategy in terms for internationalism, in terms of economy impact or community building or knowledge exchange. But obviously, before we dive into all the fun stuff, we need to remain true of the fact about the ranking report, which is a ranking. So we would like to definitely want to show kind of the broader high-level rankings. So on the screen, you can see is basically the top 20 country that is occupy the top chart in 2025. US obviously continue to be the #1, followed by many other countries, including Italy, Germany, Spain, and UK. The current, but I would like to point out on the top 20, there are some country I would like to highlight: Sweden, Poland, Greece, who are traditionally maybe 10 years ago they are not considered the top high-level meeting destination. But as you can see, through a lot of the work, through the destination itself or the collective effort, now they are a very strong contenders and basically on the top 20. Number 21 is Mexico, which is occupied about 191 meeting. Just for you to kind of know kind of the gap between the top 20 and then the rest. Regarding top 20 city rankings, obviously Lisbon is #1 with 188 count, followed by Paris, Barcelona, Vienna, and Singapore. Within the top 20 chart, European city dominate the chart with 14 city. I also want to highlight there are 5 cities coming from Asian Pacific, and as you can see on the chart, they are actually very close to each other. Between Seoul, Tokyo, Bangkok, they are basically 1 or 2 meeting apart. So it's a very competitive space on the top chart. There's a specific highlight also to Dubai, sitting at the number 18 globally chart, and also Venezuela from Argentina kind of represent the total Americas from the top 20. I also would like to point out specifically ranking with only the World International Rotation Meeting. The ICCA ranking, like I said earlier, is they are as long as you are rotate between 3 country and continent, then you will be considered. Which means that there is a very decent amount of regional meeting that have been rotated. So those are the meeting who only rotate between Europe, meeting only rotate between Asia, meeting only rotate between Americas. But if we're only looking at the World International Rotation, which is the meeting that have been demonstrated, been to at least 3 continents, right? We know they are truly moving globally. The ranking actually is also quite interesting that we'd love to share this to all the webinar audience as well. If you're looking at the country level, obviously the US still #1, but significantly you see Japan, Canada, and then also China, even Australia actually kind of starting to occupy the top 10 chart. Like this is kind of showing the effort of some of those countries who dedicated their time in attracting international meeting. If you're looking at city level, obviously Lisbon, Paris still on the top 10, but you can see Singapore now is actually jumping to top 2. Tokyo is #3, Montreal #4, Dubai is #6, right? So those and Seoul is #7. So like those are kind of like the effort to showing like when we talk about true international rotation meeting, even on the traditional ICCA ranking, maybe they are just in the middle, they're actually on the top. If you're only looking at that. also want to looking at the ranking report a little bit different beside just the top ranking chart, right? So if we're looking at the meeting size, it is an assumption for many destinations that international association meeting is always only citywide meeting, which is true. There is a good amount of citywide international association that is well known, but they actually only occupy about 1 to 2% the total meeting count. Most of the meeting, as you can see, is actually the 100 to thousands people's meeting. And in the report, you will be able to know a little bit more that they kind of represent different business opportunity for destination to consider. For meeting who are large, the citywide meeting who are large, they are smaller, they are less, but each meeting, the economy impact is stronger for your destination. But on the other hand, the meeting size that is 200-300 to thousands, they are maybe individual meeting economy impact is less than the 3,000-4,000 meeting, but the volume is bigger, right? So you can host more. Right? So from any destination, I think the recommendation here is you should consider both, right? There's no meeting size you should only focusing on. You should be broader your reach. Also, you can also looking at meeting size. So like what exactly people are meeting for? Obviously, the top three sector is no-brainer. Medical science and pharma continue to occupy the biggest amount, followed closely by technology-related meetings and then the basic science meetings. So those are kind of the traditional, very big three categories that have tons of different subsectors and meeting purpose to connect. But at the same time, there's many other industries that also meet regularly: education, social science management, economy, transportation, and many of more. And if we only look, if we then filter the sector, there's also a fun ranking we would like to share with the group here as well. So here is the top 10 city who host the most medical related meeting in 2025. As you can see, Vienna, Barcelona, Lisbon, Paris is kind of driving the top chart. In the medical fields, I also want to point out that who is not on the current top 10, Amsterdam, Taipei, London, Budapest, and Istanbul, they are all basically 1 or 2 meetings away to Dublin's number. And then if we are looking at the basic science group, which you can see Barcelona and Paris and Vienna is the top 3, but you're also starting to see other cities, right? Seoul, Copenhagen, Tokyo. Specifically, I want to point out, as you can see, Porto sitting at number 9, and Dublin continue also on the top 10. In the science meeting, Taipei, Prague, Montreal, Busan in Korea, Berlin, and Torino in Italy, they're also just 1 or 2 meetings away from the top 10, right? So this is the basic science category. And last but not least, on the technology category, which you can see it's completely changing a little bit. Now the top is actually very Asian dominant. You got Singapore, Tokyo are the top 2. Paris, Barcelona, Seoul is number 5. And then in technology sector, beside the top 10, you also have London, Busan, Taipei, Berlin sitting also, again, 1 or 2 meetings away. If you kind of listen what I would just say for the past probably 2 minutes, you can hear a lot of the repeat names showing up that are not considered the biggest or the most attractive city globally. So you're sorry, they are not the biggest and they are not the capital city for some of the people who might think meeting will go. You know, they are Porto, they are Prague, they are Dublin's, and then in Asia, they are Busan's have been actually showing on all 3 charts very closely to the top 10. Those are slightly smaller, even maybe they're tier 1 in their own country, but consider tier 2 in international market, right? So why they can be so successful in attracting those meetings, I think that is kind of what is worth to learn more a little bit. To quickly kind of wrap it up, this portion, also want to point out another assumption is international association meeting only meet at the convention center, which is actually not true. Of course, convention center represent a huge a role in attracting international meeting to their respectfully city. But international meeting also meet everywhere. They meet at the hotel, they meet at the university. So all in all is like, I think for those who are on the call, like we should not only consider them as in certain venue. It's also a very broader representative. To kind of closing this part out, I also just want to point out, like also a research that we did briefly is I think we are actually right now in a global race of destination competitiveness. And then one of the things is to make sure the capacity and facility of your destination are ready in the most up-to-date version. So what you see on the screen is basically a heat map of kind of the global race of building and updating convention center globally in every region. And as you can see, Europe, there's tons of projects that are going on. I can speak on behalf of North Americas that American is right now is in the middle of almost renovate all the convention centers that have been built for the past 30 years. A lot of them are closer to finish, including we have Miami just have a new convention center just opened. Houston is currently under renovations. Austin is under renovations. Hawaii is going to finish their renovations. And so those are kind of the trends I can see also in Asia. And then all those also going to represent on the ranking in the next 5 years because of the updating of the venue. So that is kind of a nutshell of kind of some of the high level of what the rankings are. And again, I would like to point it out and invite everyone to take a quick look and then go back to the ranking to read the full part. So on that note, I am going to stop sharing the screen and then we'll bring him back to all the regional director to kind of share a little bit of their portions of the sauce. So maybe Efi, we can start in with you. Europe continue leading globally. So what is the strategy story behind the lead, and also where do you see the most competitive pressure emerging for our Europe member?
Thank you, Shawn. The report gives a very good overview, but if we get a closer look in Europe, we will see that Europe is like leading the industry for the last year, and this is because the last decades, let's say, because it's a very mature ecosystem. It's an ecosystem that has built its value upon creating, building value and engaging with universities, very mature convention bureaus, national and local level research centers. So there is a 360 approach in the industry. Also, the conversation and the advocacy level is much more mature in some countries. So we can have the conversations that we need for our industry, and we speak about ambassadors programs, legacy, how our industry can bring more value in destination. So I think this is the strategic difference between what is happening in Europe and in other regions, and this is also the responsibility that comes along because in a way we need to innovate all the time and lead the industry. And there's also huge competition coming from other regions, but this is what I see as in Europe.
Thank you, Efi. So kind of a collective effort, basically. And hey, how about sharing with from the other side of Europe? Like Western Europe is the traditional strong and stable region for international association meeting, and so you are the leader, right? But how your member continue evolve and transform in a more competitive global race.
Thanks for the question, Shawn. As you rightly said, like we remain a global leader, hosting like 53% of all the international association meetings, but competition is intensifying. Asia Pacific, Middle East, Latin America, Northern America, and Africa are heavily investing in infrastructure and accessibility and development of their destinations. So how are we staying competitive then in our region? So we're focusing a lot more on knowledge sectors at the moment, like medical sciences, technologies, and science, rather than just simply increasing our meeting value just for the sake of having a meeting there. And of course, using data, AI, and business intelligence is a big part now to identify the opportunities so that we can bid more strategically for the meetings that we actually want and that make an impact. Furthermore, we're investing a lot in sustainability and resilience in Europe, mainly in the Nordics. You see, sustainability is a big topic there. And last but not least, as Efi also said, working and creating a long-term legacy and impact. So really position your meetings as drivers of innovation and talent attractions as well, and not just focus on the tourism part of it.
Thank you, Gea. Let's quickly go to Anju's from the Middle East perspective. Well, let's first of all stop talking about the war for a second. How about tell us about what's kind of the highlight for you from the 2025 data, right? We're talking about number from last year, and also that I know that you recently just concluded Middle East Summit as well. Congratulations! And are there any kind of like takeaway from the summit of the conversation or the session that you kind of feel also aligned quite well with some of the showing from the report?
Sure. Thank you, Shawn, firstly, for this opportunity to share. Well, from the GlobeWatch report, what I see is tremendous growth in Middle East. Although from the slide that you just shared a little bit earlier, Middle East has only 2% share from the global pie. But I can see that from the last three, I made an analysis from 23 to 25, whereas, Middle East did only 92 meetings in 2023. And now in 25, they have done 144, which means there's a good 45% growth in the Middle East versus the global growth, which was only about 22%. So I think the scaling is huge over there. We also see from your, 4,000 odd meetings that are the slide that you shared about the real international meetings that happen, because there are many which rotate only in Europe or many in global. And I can see Dubai is already number 6, whereas, on the global ranking, they are probably, way below. So I think UAE is one of the destinations which is leading in the Middle East. And we have probably done 144 meetings out of the 242 meetings that Middle East has done in 2025. Of course, Saudi Arabia is also rising very closely because of the sovereign investments that are going on. And like you said, many convention centers are coming around. There is a lot of infrastructure investments being taken forward. And they are also focusing on your top 3 sectors, which is the, of course, the medical science and technology. There is a heavy growth in AI sector. And then we have, broad momentum with Jordan, Oman, Bahrain. They all growing sustainably. And in the Middle East Summit, when we hosted, it was in Jordan. And definitely there was all the regional leaders who participated. And it was the first time that we actually analyzed the entire GlobeWatch report plus other investments that is happening from the region. We introduced a video which shows that Middle East is going to grow consistently up until 2033 with at least $63.4 billion US. So it's a huge scale that we are working on in the coming decade. And it shows that we have the stage ready. We are resilient with all this currently, current or even in the past, the geopolitical situations. We are very resilient. And that was the theme actually for the Jordan summit, because it was right during, the situation, the uncertain times. But everybody's resilience and support made this event into a big success. We had the patronage of the ministry. The government is very much supportive of business events growth in the region, which is one of the key pillars of growing this industry in Middle East. So, and I think there is also a big, huge industry support to push business events in Middle East. So, I think that coming decade will see a huge, inventory as far as the venue is concerned, as far as the industry professionals are concerned. Talent building is also a very big focus here, capacity building, and ICCA Skills plays a very big role as well in the region. So that's in a nutshell for Middle East.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And then I can confirm that I think that the tremendous growth and then also in some way noises that the Middle East are creating internationally that really grab a lot of attention in a good way. I know that the recent ASCE study actually around May who do a sentiment study about the situation in the Middle East, and then I think the result was a very promising things for the region, which is although many of them realized the reality of logistic concern, but it didn't really decrease many of their confidence of the region who can actually host or should host some of the meeting that they have in mind, right? So many of them is a very high percentage from the survey show that when everything settled down, they will very happily and wanting to coming back to the region, which is showing a very strong positive signal. So thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. Let's quickly go to Frank. So for Africa, so Frank, Africa is, continue emerging destination. So for you, what is kind of the highlight for 2025 for you, or for Africa in general?
Thank you, Shawn. I think 2025 marked a positive growth and change in the statistics we've had over the last 5 years. When we look at the statistics for the past 5 years, Africa was always had 3%. But last year we were able to move to 4%, which is a huge a change, and we appreciated the growth in that. But that what the reflection on that is that there are changes happening on the African region and the African continent. And one of the things that is happening is that there's now understanding of business events industry. There's the establishment of the convention bureaus that are able to gather data which we didn't have previously. There's also a very clear understanding of how now the industry is, working and be able to go out and bid for international events, which is quite important to be able to contribute to those numbers. But more importantly, what we've seen over the last 3-4 years is also the infrastructure development across the continent. We're getting to see, new convention centers being developed in Ethiopia, in Kenya currently, in Angola as a new destination, and of course Rwanda and South Africa that have predominantly been there. So the change and the shift is a positive, really response to what we're doing within the events industry, and it gives us confidence of where we're heading. And looking ahead, I think we get to see Africa really, coming to claim its space. At the moment, when we look at the countries that are actively involved in the business events, we can count them close, 10, 15 countries, but we know Africa is 54 countries. So we get to see new destinations opening up, get to see venues opening up, and that is giving us confidence that in the next 5 years, 10 years, Africa is really going to claim a fair share within the business events industry. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear, Frank. Thanks for sharing. Frank represents the future growth that might look like, right? Like Frank is building out the foundation for the potential growth. I would like to turn the spotlight to Shawn for Asian Pacific, because the Asian Pacific, on the other hand, is showing tremendous growth right now. Right, like we're looking at this is a number I didn't share earlier. Is there's like about 33% increase in meeting in Asia between 2023 and 2025, which is basically mean post-COVID Asia have been on a massive growth path in terms of the number and then also the attendees and then also the impact economically, socially for the destination in Asia. So Shawn, how about give us kind of a brief insight on kind of what do you see the reason of the growth and the strategy many of our Asian members are taking?
Thanks, Shawn. Just now you mentioned that Africa is the future. It's a future, but Asia Pacific, we are the current and the future as well. So indeed, the 33% growth between 2023 and 2025, it is a big growth, and it reflects the powerful recovery, restore connectivity, and also deeper destination competitiveness across Asia Pacific. So we are very confident that the Asia Pacific growth is sustainable in directions. So why we are so confident on that? Firstly, there is no other regions combine the same scale of populations, economic growth, and also the diversity of knowledge economy within a highly interconnected ecosystem. So a lot of opportunities are here in Asia Pacific. And also, secondly, there are many of the sectors that driving future knowledge. Just now, like you show previously in all the chats, like Busan's, a lot of other different cities, they are also leading in a certain industry. So they are all this we call like futures knowledge meetings, like healthcare, biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, like AI, also semiconductors, sustainability. They are all expanding rapidly across Asia Pacific. So as knowledge, research, investment, and also industry leadership grow within the regions, international associations and also industry leadership, there increasingly needs to be present where their members are, partners, and also future opportunities are located, so within the regions. However, even though we are confident that the growth will be sustainable, but the future growth will depend on competitiveness, connectivity, and also regions' ability to turn the industry strength into associations meetings win. So means that there are a few aspects we can look at it. So associations, local associations are very important. Whether the local associations have the capability or leadership's commitment and willingness to work very closely with the convention bureaus of venue or PCO or the industry to bid for and also host for international associations meeting. Because this is one of the challenge that we always hear, that it's hard to get associations, local associations, to bid for the conference. And destination is very, very important, and also is business events industry, whether the destinations and also the industry are actively identify opportunities and pursue bids rather than just waiting for the existing demand. And also for the destination to continue strengthen the association's engagement program, as also their bid development capabilities. And also depends on the destinations can move beyond meetings value, volume, and also size, whether not only looking at the size, but secure more influential or high economic impact associations congress, align with the priority sectors and also industry. So, but not forgetting the government, they also play a very big part in the growth too. The governments recognize the value of the associations conference as the platform for knowledge exchange, talent development, innovation, investment attractions, and also long-term economic growth. So last but not least, international air capacities is important as well. So it will continue to expand, and also the visa policies to be able to support the accessibility for international delegates. To conclude, we are very confident that we will continue to grow as Asia Pacific, because we always have the can-do energy and also spirit. Yeah, Asia Pacific go.
Thank you, Shawn. But you can see, based on what Shawn just showed, is Asian is continue to be very ambitious, diving into a very specific detail of improvement and growth, right? But Shawn did kind of brought up a really interesting topic in Asia, which is they are increasingly seeing international meeting bid not just an event group business. It's the connecting with local knowledge hub, with industry investment, alliance with government, which I think is brought up to a good topic to bring back to other regions on kind of what other regions are doing, which is the advocacy work. I think our industry have been famous for, like, I don't know how many of you are in the industry for how long, but I do remember up until now when I introduce what I'm doing at the family dinner table, and a lot of there's always a few assumption will come out is, oh, you play a wedding, eh? Or second is like also you're doing like a tourism, right? That's awesome, right? So like, but we all know on the call, for including the audience, that we are doing much more, right? Like the meeting you are trying to attract for your city is much more than those 1 or 2 day gathering. But how are different regions are converting that message to your local stakeholders, to government, industry, or academics, and what are the results coming out of it? I'm happy to share one from North America. So I think Canada is a really perfect example of this advocacy work. Canada have switched the advocacy language from tourism driven to investment. So and when that language switch, so right now in Canada, when we're talking about business events within the government level, we're talking about this is the investment that align with your government priority agenda. The result is tremendous. The federal government in Canada have launched a federal support incentive program called ICCA funding, which is International Convention Attractiveness Funds, that's supporting different destination in Canada to attract international meeting to their city. The criteria in order for them to do that is they need to be actually is on the criteria is they need to be ICCA qualified meeting. And then also they need to tie with a specific CICS option of the industry sector that Canada a specific target of. So that is advanced architecture, agricultural science, machine learning, and then a few others, right? So like the reason you can see the incentive fund is not just give you money to attract meeting, it's to give you money to invest on specific sector that will bring in something more back to the country. Canada have the program since 2024, and then they just renew it this year. The reason is no brainer because the ROI ratio is 20 to 1. Which means that you bring one meeting, the return is 20 plus of that meetings come, right? So those are the number Canada be able to demonstrate and advocacy for. So I'm gonna turn this to Efi, because obviously Europe is continued the leading force in this conversation, but how is our member in Europe been doing collectively?
I would like to focus, having our headquarters in Europe and having gives a different also access to and a responsibility also for ICCA for the work we should do for our members. So in the last year and more, we have seen that ICCA has been in most of the tables where decisions are being made about the strategy and the way forward, and putting the meetings industry in the conversation with the European Commission, which is very important because the European Commission right now is going to publish the strategic plan for the next years, and the meetings industry will be part of it. So I will reply to your question, but mostly I would like to focus what ICCA is doing for its members. So first of all is putting the meetings industry in the strategic tables in the European Commission. We have also been part in the conversation in Davos, in the World Economic Forum, and this is a direction that we are taking, and our CEO sent in Gopinath. So all these activations, advocacy level is in Europe, and we are doing this in order to be a multiplier for the efforts that our 56 countries in Europe are doing, and to help them elevate the dialogue and put the meetings industry in a higher level in the agenda. And I think that in the last year we have done incredible steps at ICCA towards this. And of course, there are other initiatives, alliances that they work very well, like the Strategic Alliance of National Conventions of Bureaus of Europe. There's also a new alliance coming up, which is the EU European CVB Alliance on the second tier cities. We are also, in this context, we are also launching a new event, which is called Meet Europe. and will be taking place in Brussels. So we are moving an event very close to Brussels. So in order to be closer to the decision-making locations and to associations. So Meet Europe will take place in February and will be focused exactly on this topic. It will
And
be
then the Meet
on
Europe events will be available. Information will be out soon, I hope.
Of course, you'll find relevant information. You can refer to me or her, but Meet Europe is targeting exactly all the advocacy efforts in Europe, and it's starting like this year in 2027, February 2027.
Thank you, Efi. And as you can see, like it seems like Europe is demonstrating a path, which is a collective between the industry. Like obviously, ICCAs play a huge leading role around it. Quickly want to go to Frank because I think Africa, in terms of the advocacy work, is kind of taking a different approach, right? Like how's the advocacy work in Africa?
Shawn, indeed, the advocacy is our biggest priority because of the level of understanding of the industry, and we do know that ICCA plays a key role in educating, in guiding, and uplifting the industry, but also guiding it. So we're doing a lot of partnerships with the specific countries that have also opened up and are prioritizing the meetings industry. And the specific examples we can highlight is the partnership with Angola, where we also encouraging them and supporting them to, guide them to grow the meetings industry, supporting the formation of the convention bureau and guiding them on where they need to go and the platforms they need to engage. Yeah, and that's a very good example. And they have welcomed the idea because they're quite new in the industry. A lot of people still think business events is tourism, so a lot of education goes into that to ensure that there's a clear distinction on the role of the business events vis-a-vis tourism. But beyond that, I think the advocacy we're also looking at is the education, which is quite important in terms of skills development and building the future talent, but also the current workforce within the business events industry. So through that, we've been able to establish a hub in the continent based in Rwanda and Kigali. And that really has served a huge impact in terms of creating awareness, but also educating the talent within our industry. And that will continue to shape how, Africa sees the value of the industry, because when you have well-informed and educated talent, they come back and, work in the industry and they contribute and also become ambassadors of our industry. So that's what we continue to see. But more, I think what is quite interesting was also really from advocacy level, we saw distinct leadership of some of the countries like Rwanda, saying we want to get the Congress back to the continent, and they stood up after 20 years and said we want to get the Congress back to the continent, and that really showed the leadership, but also showed the advocacy for the rest of other destinations within the continent, and that's a very good example we normally use because they even help to inspire other countries. So overall, I think we continue to see, I think, really growth, as we mentioned earlier. South Africa continues to take the lead in terms of presence, but also in terms of it's a big country, well positioned and well developed. But I think alongside the South Africa, we're going to see other countries coming on board, which is quite exciting. And I would say let's see, watch the space. I think exciting things are coming all the way.
That's great. Thanks, Frank. And I think, Frank, you brought up an interesting point. It's about talent development, right? So in Africa, that is the point. I would like to bring this to Anju as well, because I know that is another topic that you are very passionate about as well. And I think you are working on some similar work in the Middle East as well. Would you like to share a little bit of those? But before you start, I just want to point out as well is we have about 10 minutes left of this webinar. So for anyone that if you have any question that you would like to ask, please put them in the chat. We'll make sure that we cover them before we go. Anju, up to you.
Thanks, Shawn. Yes, talent development is one of the biggest requirement of the region because there is a lot of localization that's happening in the Middle East. Predominantly, a lot of expats are, occupying these positions, and the knowledge was brought in from outside, but they want to grow the internal ground knowledge. And It's a long journey, but I've been working very closely with, for example, Saudi Arabia, where we have, managed to get ICCA skills as approved by their local Ministry of Education, and they have now, even going to support all the Saudi nationals who would be interested in doing ICCA skills, the first CICS education level. So I think that's a very great initiatives. We are also working very closely with universities, to name Oman Sohar University, which is our member. We have Saudi Entertainment Academy, which is also working very closely with us, which is from Riyadh, to do multiple cohorts of ICCA skills to build the capacity. In fact, when we launched ICCA Skills, the first batch that we did was back in 2023, which was from Dubai World Trade Center. And I think it brings together the entire community to understand that we are not talking about just tourism, we are talking beyond tourism. Like you said, that, we are still not able to give a correct definition of what we really do. So we get grouped under tourism, but it's a larger scope of community building and talent building, capacity building for a destination that we do. And even with right now, we have plans to have more universities from the region to bring young generation, into our industry, and doing multiple activations with ICCA Uni Forum, which was launched last year in Middle East, in Oman. It will again happen this year in Oman in October. And we have big plans, because in the future, when the Congress comes back in 2028 to Oman, we really want to develop a ICCA University forum, global forum, right? Because we have so many members, which to bring in the new talent into our industry, because it's very difficult to retain them. Bringing them is easy. Retaining them is a challenge, and I think all my colleagues here will, agree with me that we are facing huge resource issues, and it's a global issue. It's not just the Middle East one, but I think we need to really be out there as ambassadors, to be visiting professors, and it's time now to introduce our industry to school students, so that they can decide this as a part of their career, rather than wait for them to say, oh, I'm going to be an engineer or a doctor or a CA, and then go and tell them, no, now you come here, because no CAs or an MBAs would like to come and join our industry. Normally, it's, a passion-driven industry. So that passion needs to be created from school level, before they exit school, because career fairs happen from 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And that's when they are introduced to all the industry that is available. But I don't think we really do enough to introduce our sector to them.
That's a really good point. And just also want to point that out, that is also why ICCA is also starting a program, it's the ICCA Union program, right? Like we are heavily starting to engage and collaborate with university, not just from talent development, but also from research perspective. As well. So cautions on, thanks Andrew for sharing those. Cautions on the time, obviously we are not able to get everyone's kind of sharing their thoughts on that note. To closing this up, I will like to maybe invite every regional directors and manager to simply share with the audience of thinking from the broader ICCA members audience, right? Like, so from your perspective, with your knowledge about your regions and how the market and how the industry grows and progress this year, what are the things that you would recommend the audience here to do or pay attention to for the rest of the 2026 in order for them to see success or improvement in the next edition of the ranking for next year? Like we're half year in, so the first half is whether it's successful or not, it's already gone. But we still have basically 6 months in this year that can either catch up or can continue to build the lead. Right, like I'm trying very hard not to using the Argentina examples, but here you goes. You can come from the back in the last 3 minutes, right? So I'm gonna put this out to maybe we can start with Heya, just starting with Heya, and then we go to Efi, and then Xiaofen's, Frank, Andrews, and I can close it up. Kind of like what are the one things that you would recommend our members to pay attention to or do for the remainder of the year?
I think for my part of Europe, since we are already strongly developed, really look at what the trends are the coming 6 months. Also, as we mentioned, Meet Europe. If you're into advocacy, please also take a good look at our program, which will be launching probably in September. And further, I would just continue doing what you're doing. Keep the conversations open with me and both Efi. If you need help, please let us know because we're here for you.
Awesome. Efi?
Yes, well, I will not overpromise because I don't think it's very easy to change your ranking the Eureka ranking in 1 year. So in order to see different results, I think you should have a long-term strategy, and all of our members know that. I know that the very American companies like coming in Europe, they have different, I mean, they seek for results, they need results quickly, but our segment is very you need a long-term strategy in order to achieve these results and to be in the top of the ranking. So I would say to be persistent, to have a strategy in place that we see for small destinations, we see that they need to put themselves forward. They are winning the conversation in a way because we see second-tier cities gaining more congresses and visibility. So because they are competitive in terms of budgeting, so I would say keep on doing what, as Gea said, as you already do with strategy and vision, of course. And I think that we are in a good place overall, and our industry is growing. So we are happy to help you grow together.
Awesome. Thanks, Efi. Xiaofen?
Thanks. So I think since we say Asia Pacific, we have a lot of opportunities. So I keep looking out for opportunities, and I think it is that there are a lot more opportunity within the university and also the institutions itself. So, and also would like to invite everyone to join us in our Asia Pacific Venue Expert Forum, which will be happening in Beijing in September. So you will get to network with some of the, we call it like clients or buyer as well. And also in upcoming October, we have Evolve Destination, which will be held in Macau as well. So that we will have like 10 to 15 regional associations clients to be joining us in that activities. So get the chance to network with them and also to expand your business opportunity. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it is free registrations for ICCA member.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Xiaofen. Anju?
I just have one quick lessons that we learn from here is that political will is very important. It's important that you make your destination position as a knowledge hub and not as an events city. So if you're focusing on your universities, your local ambassadors, I think if you build that, you will definitely be able to have better ranking, more community activities, and a lot of knowledge that will pour into your destinations. That's my lesson learned from all this GlobeWatch as well as all our colleagues' insights.
Amazing. Frank?
Thank you, Shawn. My recommendation is for next year, one is indeed long-term plan to ensure that you're consistent in what you're doing in attracting global events to your country, to your destination in Africa. But the second recommendation I would like really to share is the collaboration in data collection, because a lot of data is out there and is not reported. And once it is not reported, it is not shown anywhere. So that would be my key, recommendation, that let's collaborate, let's share data, and let's work together to improve our ranking.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Frank, on that. So for me, to closing this up is similar to all my colleagues. I will recommend everyone I will encourage everyone to work with your regional directors to help you on three things. Number one is help you to identify what is the sector-driven strategy better fit for you. Secondly, how ICCA can help you to be better smart matching with the right opportunity with you. And then the third is how we can supporting you to train your staff to from bottoms to the tops, to equip with the knowledge and the intelligence to approach this ever complex markets that we are facing. And all the regional directors, we are here to support you of your business growth, and that's why we are here for. So to wrap it up, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Again, I'm sharing the ICCA ranking QR code here in case you haven't touched it earlier. But also, we just want to close things off with a reminder for everyone is the Congress is coming up this year in November in Panama City. So we are all very excited to welcome you to this part of the world. The early bird rate is still on. So I know a lot of you are too busy with the summers, or too busy focusing on the World Cup as an excuse. That excuse is about to finish. We have about a week to go. So the Congress early bird is extending to end of this month. So encourage everyone to make sure you get your registration in. And then we'll see you in Panama. On that note, thank you so much for taking the time. And then wish you have a good rest of the day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Shawn.
Bye.